We moved into the house on a Saturday in early September. I remember the date because it was the same weekend my best friend was having his birthday party, and I had to miss it. New house, new neighborhood, boxes everywhere. My mom said there was no way I was going anywhere that weekend. I sat in the back of the moving truck the whole drive over with my headphones in, pretending I was somewhere else. The house was cheap. My parents never said exactly how cheap, but I heard them talking about it one night, a few weeks before the move. My dad said the price was almost insulting. My mom laughed and said she was not going to question it. They had been looking for 2 years. They needed something. This was something. It was a decent-sized house on a quiet street. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, a garage. My dad immediately claimed for his tools. My little sister got the room next to my parents. I got the room at the end of the hall, furthest from everyone. I did not mind. I had my setup, my PC, my console, my monitor, my chair. As long as I had that, I could be anywhere. The room could be a closet, and I would have been fine. I spent most of that first weekend setting up my station, computer on the desk facing the wall near the door, chair in front of it. Behind me across the room, my bed against the far wall, nightstand, lamp, the usual. My mom kept knocking and asking if I wanted to help unpack the kitchen, and I kept saying I was busy, and she kept sighing and walking away. By Sunday night, everything was exactly how I wanted it. Screen glowing, headset on, the familiar sounds of a game filling the room. I felt completely at home. That was the last night I felt that way. The first sound happened 3 days after we moved in. I was gaming, late, probably past midnight, headset on, but volume low enough to hear the room. I did that sometimes, kept the game audio down so I could stay aware of the house. Old habit from living in apartments where you always had to know what was happening around you. I heard something, not loud, not dramatic, just a sound from somewhere in the room that did not belong to anything I could identify. A shift, a weight settling. The kind of sound a house makes when it adjusts to temperature changes, except it was not coming from the walls or the ceiling. It was coming from behind me. I turned around, my bed, the nightstand, the lamp, the window with the curtains I had not opened since we moved in. Everything exactly as I had left it. I turned back to my screen. Told myself it was the house settling. New houses make new sounds. That is just physics. I kept playing. It happened again the next night. Same time. Same low volume on the headset. Same sound from behind me. Slightly louder this time. Slightly closer to the quality of something deliberate rather than something random. I turned around again. Same empty room, same bed, same curtains. I turned back, and then I heard it again, immediately. Like whatever was making the sound had waited for me to look away. I spun around fast that time. Nothing. I sat there for a long time just looking at my room. The lamp on the nightstand, the bed, the space between the bottom of the bed frame and the floor. That gap, that specific darkness under there that I had never thought about before and was now thinking about very specifically. I turned my desk lamp on. The room filled with more light. I kept playing with all the lights on after that. By the end of the first week, the sounds were every night. Not just settling sounds anymore. Something that had developed a pattern, a rhythm almost, starting from somewhere in the back of the room and gradually, over the course of an hour, 2 hours, moving closer. Not in a straight line, circling. The way a sound circles when whatever is making it is not moving towards you directly, but around you. I started keeping track of when it started. Always between 11 p.m. and midnight. Always the same sequence. Far away first, then closer still, then right behind my chair where I was sitting. And then it would stop, just stop, like something pausing right behind me and going still. I never turned around during that part. I do not know why. I just could not make myself do it. I told myself it was rats. The house was old. Old houses had rats. Rats moved through walls and under floors, and the acoustics of an empty room could make a small sound seem like it was right behind you. I was very good at convincing myself of things back then. The third week, I stopped eating dinner with my family. Not on purpose. I just kept losing track of time. And by the time I remembered, it was past 9 and everyone had already eaten. My mom started leaving a plate outside my door. I would grab it during the day, eat at my desk, keep gaming. My dad knocked one evening and said I needed to come out of my room more. I said I would. I didn't. I was not ready to admit what was actually keeping me in there. The sounds had gotten loud enough that I could hear them through my headset now. Not through the headset, around it, leaking in. A low sound that was almost a growl but not quite. Almost a breath but not quite. Almost something with a voice but not quite. Always at night, always circling, always ending right behind my chair. I started leaving every light in the room on. I started keeping my desk lamp angled so it threw light behind me. I started checking over my shoulder every few minutes while I played. My reaction times in the game got terrible. I could not focus. Half my attention was always on the room behind me. I kept telling myself I was tired, that the move had stressed me out, that I was imagining things in an unfamiliar house. I almost believed it. Then it touched me. I was mid-game. Friday night, maybe 1 a.m. Every light in the room blazing. Headset on, full focus on the screen because I had been forcing myself to stop looking over my shoulder and just play. Something grabbed my shoulder. Not a tap, not a brush, a grip. Fingers or something shaped like fingers closing around my shoulder from behind with a pressure that was deliberate and specific and completely unmistakable. I screamed. Not a scared sound, a full sound, the kind that comes out before you decide to make it. I heard my parents' door fly open. Footsteps down the hall. My door burst open and my dad was there. Then my mom behind him. Then my little sister peering around the doorframe with wide eyes. I was standing against my desk shaking, and I could not get the words out properly. I kept saying something touched me, something grabbed me. It was right here. It was right behind me. My dad searched the room, every corner, the closet, under the desk. He got down on one knee and looked under the bed with his phone flashlight. Nothing. He stood up and looked at me with that expression parents get when they are worried, but trying not to show it. He said, "Son, you have been in this room for 3 weeks straight. You have barely eaten. You are exhausted. Your brain is doing things exhausted brains do." My mom put her hand on my face and said, I was burning up. She said I needed to sleep. She said it was just a nightmare, even though I had not been asleep. They tucked me in like I was small again, left the hall light on, left my door open a crack. I lay there staring at the ceiling and did not sleep for a long time. But eventually I did sleep, and the nightmares started. I could never fully describe the nightmares when I was awake. Not because I forgot them, because the language did not exist for what I saw in them. When I tried to explain to myself what they contained, the images dissolved before I could name them. All I was left with was the feeling. Wrong. That is the only word. Everything in those dreams was wrong in a way that had no specific cause. The colors wrong, the proportions wrong, the logic of the space wrong. And always somewhere in the dream a sound, low and close and circling. I woke up from every one of them at the same moment. The moment the circling stopped and the sound was directly behind me. Every night, same dream, same ending. I stopped telling my parents. I could see them getting more worried, and I did not want to be the reason they regretted buying the house. They needed this house. We needed this house. So I kept it to myself and kept the lights on and kept gaming and kept telling myself that whatever this was, it would stop eventually. It did not stop. The flashlight was my sister's idea, actually. She had given me a small one weeks earlier, a birthday gift from before the move that I had never taken out of the box. She knocked on my door one afternoon and asked if I was using it because she wanted it back for something. I found it in the box and gave it to her. She looked at me for a second and said, "Are you okay? You look terrible." I said I was fine. She said she kept hearing sounds at night too, in her room, near her closet. I looked at her. She looked at me. Neither of us said what we were both thinking. She just took the flashlight and left. That night, I found another one in the garage and kept it on my nightstand. I do not know exactly why. Just felt like something I needed near me. It was a Thursday night when it happened, late, past 2 a.m. I had been gaming for hours and my eyes were burning, and I finally decided to sleep. I turned off the monitor, stood up from my chair, stretched, reached for the flashlight on the nightstand, knocked it off. It hit the floor and rolled. I heard it go under the bed. I could see the beam of light moving under there. I always kept it switched on, another habit I had developed without thinking about it, rolling toward the far side. I got down on my knees next to the bed. The flashlight was about halfway under. I could see it, the beam pointing toward the wall, lighting up the underside of the bed frame, the floor, the dust. I reached my arm under. My fingers found the flashlight, closed around it. Something closed around my wrist. Not fast, not violent. Slow and deliberate, the way you pick something up when you are certain of it. Fingers long, too long, each one too long, wrapping around my wrist one at a time. And then it pulled. Not hard, just enough. Just the specific pressure of something showing you what it could do if it wanted to. I felt the floor against my cheek as my arm went further under. I felt the cold of whatever was holding me. I heard the sound, that low circling growl that had been in my room every night for weeks, coming from directly beneath me now, from the darkness under my own bed, from something that had been there every single night while I sat 3 feet above it in my chair. I screamed again. This time my dad did not just open his door. I heard him running. Full sprint down the hall. My door hit the wall when he opened it. He saw my feet, just my feet sticking out from the side of the bed as the rest of me was being pulled under. He grabbed my ankles and pulled. Whatever had my wrist held for 1 second, 2 seconds, then let go. My dad dragged me out and we both fell back against the desk. He grabbed me by the shoulders and looked at my face, and then he looked at the bed, and he reached over and turned on every light in the room. He looked under the bed for a long time. He did not say anything for a long time. Then he stood up and said, "Go get your mother. Tell her to start packing." I have never heard my dad's voice sound like that before. We were out of the house before sunrise. We sat in my uncle's living room at 5 a.m. My mom and dad on the couch. My sister on the armchair across from me. Everyone quiet the way people are quiet after something they do not have the words for yet. My sister was looking at her hands. I said, "You said you were hearing sounds too, in your room." She nodded. I asked her what kind of sounds. She said, like something moving around near my closet at night, circling, getting closer. I felt the hair on my arms stand up. I asked her if she had heard it recently. She said, "Every night since we moved in." I thought I was imagining it. I did not want to scare anyone. She looked up at me. And then she said the thing that I have not been able to stop thinking about since. She said, "The weird part is it kept saying your name." I stared at her. She said, "I could not make out what it was saying most of the time. Just sounds, but sometimes it was clear. It was saying your name, over and over, like it was looking for you." We had been in that house for 4 weeks. My sister had been hearing it from her room every night, saying my name. Which means whatever was under my bed was not there because we moved in. It was there because I did. It knew I was coming, and it waited. We never went back for the rest of our things. My dad called the real estate agent the next morning, asked how long the house had been on the market before we bought it. 7 years. He asked if there had been other buyers, 3 families, all of them backed out before moving in. No explanation given by any of them. He asked one more question. He asked if anyone had ever lived there before it went on the market. The agent paused. Then she said, "A man lived there alone for about 6 months. He left without notice, left everything inside. We had to clear it all out before listing." My dad asked if she knew why he left. She said, "He just stopped answering calls one day. When we sent someone to check the property, he was gone. All his things still there, food still on the table, just gone." My dad thanked her and hung up. He never told us what she said. I only found out years later when I found the notes he had written on a piece of paper and left in a drawer. At the bottom of the notes in his handwriting was one line he had underlined twice. "Ask someone what lived in that house before the man did." He never asked. Neither have I. Some answers make everything worse.